Hello there, welcome to We Are Crafted in His Image. I am here today with a Fun Fold Friday. So I have this card here that if you just add a few extra score lines, it actually pops up and it gives it, I don't know if you can see, there's a little bit of dimension, so it is more of a three-dimensional card and it stands up on its own. Well, it usually stands up on its own, there we go. So as you can see, it is just this beautiful card, and we're going to use the Seasonal Branches stamp set to make it. But before I get started on this project, I wanted to show you a couple other projects. I have my Coco Crafts class sign up right now, and just got a couple more days left to sign up for the class. And for that class, you get this kit, this stamp set, and you get all of the stuff you need to make 4 projects. Now these are only 2 of the projects here, but you will have enough to make 4 projects in it, and we will start those in August. So if you're interested in this kit, I want to show you, this is really cool. It is a Get Well kit, and as you can see, you take this off and open it, and it holds a little tea bag inside. So yeah, anyway, if you're interested in this, there is a link in the bottom of this description box, but I think it only has a few more days left to sign up for the kit. So anyway, I'll put that back in there in a minute, and we will get started on this project right here. So let me move that out of the way, pull in. Now I have already cut this piece here. Let me zoom out just a little, and I over on in the description box there'll be a link to the blog post, and it will have all of these measurements. But it is 4 1/4 by 11, and it's scored at 1/4 and 1/2 inch, scored again at 5, 5 1/4, 5 1/2, 5 3/4, and 6, and then 10 1/2 and 10 3/4. So those are the score lines. There's a whole bunch, it looks like an accordion fold going across there. I am going to start with some shading before I get into it. I finished the card, the first one, and I didn't have the shading and realized it needed a little something something. So we're going to go ahead and add that now, which is easier to do before. And this is Lost Lagoon. The paper is Pool Party, and I wanted a color a little bit darker, so I'm going to just run a little bit of shading along the top edge, on the sides. And actually I need to bring it in. You can see the score lines now that I've done that. There you go. I need to bring it in so that it shows on that front panel. I'm going to go down across the bottom. And I'm going to do both all the way the back too as well. Now I will tell you, if you want to write on this card, you're going to need to write in this back panel, and you're going to want to do it before you start putting it all together, especially before you put the flowers on, because the flowers are kind of dimensional and it will make it very difficult to write on it afterwards. So otherwise you could write on a separate piece of paper and then just adhere it to the back. And then what I'm also going to do is I'm going to fold on that very middle line here, which is the 5 1/2 inch line, so that I can also score or shade here and here. So there, that part is done. Now I also want some shading on the inside here, and I'm just going to do this edge and this edge. And one thing you want to keep in mind when you are cutting out this piece right here, as you can see I'd cut that out already. When you do that, let me grab my sandwich really quickly. When you put this on here and you've got your die on there, when you put this on, you want to try not to get it in this area here. The first one I did, I had it like this, and it ended up leaving a line, and so when I did this shading part, it picked up color where that line was. So just try to put it here, that way when you do your shading and stuff, it's not going to show an extra line, another marking in your paper. Does that make sense? My line ended up, it's actually right in this area back in here, but it's hidden so you can't really notice it. But just so you know, you don't want one going right through the middle. So now, ooh, I think I need a little bit, I need to bring that in more, you can't see it. I'm really just trying to highlight this corner and have this corner here to be lighter. There we go. Yes, that's kind of what I want. Okay, we'll put that aside. And I've already die cut all of the pieces and parts. I've done most of the stamping. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment down here at the bottom. Oh, I hope I left myself enough room. Oh, maybe I'll put it at the top instead on this one. Nope, we'll put it down there. I need my ink. Gonna grab Early Espresso. Make this piece out of the way. Go ahead and stamp that. There we go. Happy birthday wishes. There is also a sentiment in the stamp set that says, "You're in my thoughts," and there's a get well wishes. I think all three of those would fit across this bottom. So yeah. Excuse me, sorry about that. All right, now we need to start making some of these flowers and getting them ready. Aren't they pretty? I love dogwoods. Actually, I love any flower. I don't think there's a flower that I don't love. But dogwoods are really, really pretty. And I'm going to show you, this is a great way to use up your scrap pieces of your watercolor paper. As you can see, I keep all my little pieces, and this was a great way to use it up because it's just a die. It just uses up, cuts off these little tiny little things. And I've done most of them already here, but I wanted to show you how I colored these. And I'm going to need, real quick, to grab this. I am going to use I need water in a cup and my two colors. So Wild Wheat is one of our new colors, and I wasn't sure I really liked it, but it is actually the perfect color for the center of flowers. It really is, because a lot of times they have that kind of a gold yellowy brown color, and yeah, it ends up being the perfect color for it. And I don't even need near this much for these few little flowers, but put those away. Okay, so what I ended up doing, if you can see here, some of my flowers have more color on them than others, so I tried several different ways to get it the way I want, to get them to come out the way I wanted it. This was a technique that worked best for me, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this in autofocus so I can lift up so you can see better a little bit what I'm doing. But the first thing I'm going to do is squirt some water, there it is, onto my flowers right here. And I actually let those kind of sit for just a minute so that that water will absorb into them. And then I found that I even needed to just pick up my thing, and I actually just dipped it right into the water. And because you want the paper really, really wet. However, you don't want a puddle. Like, I don't know if you can see. You don't want a puddle of water on there. So after I dipped it in here, I dabbed the excess water off of there. And then I have one for my yellowy color. And I'm going to try to do this up where you can see. Hopefully it'll focus. And then I've just kind of touched the color. Let me grab a little more. And then you just let it bleed and soften out on there. Okay, so there's the center. And then for the edges, pick up this, and I'm just going to touch right here in that little divot. Just kind of touch that color there, let it soften and bleed a little, but you don't want it bleeding like all over the place. And there you go, there is our finished little flower. I'm going to put that over here, and these ones will actually probably come out a little better because they've had time for the water to absorb into the paper. Dab that off. I've got pink on me, so I'm going to go ahead and use that one first. Trying to see if you can see this. Touch it. And try not to do that. And then a little bit of the yellow. And just having the paper wet makes the color softer, because then the color is going to bleed out into the paper a little bit. And I am using watercolor paper here. This technique might work with regular paper just because it's such a tiny little bit of color that you're actually adding. Last one, just so you can see. There we go. Little tiny bit. I love this color. This is Moody Mauve. It's a perfect color for dogwood flowers. And then a little bit of the wild wheat. It's hard to look at two things at once. Trying to look at what I'm doing in my hand and look at the camera to make sure you're in focus. There we go. So there are our flowers. That is probably the most time-consuming part of this, is getting all of those colored. But it really only took a couple minutes for me to do all the rest of those. So I'm going to move this. I'm going to put this back in manual focus so it doesn't go in and out on us. Move these out of the way. And the next thing you want to do is actually shape these, and that's super easy to do. We're going to just grab like something with a nice rounded edge. You can actually, that might work, but I'm going to use this part here, and I'm just going to put it in my hands and cup them. I'll put a couple of them in my hand at once. And if you don't want to use your hands, you could use the back of a mouse pad. You could use our Stampin' Pierce mat. I just find my hands work just as well. I actually liked doing it better on the ones that were wet, but the other ones are dry now. I did those yesterday. I was going to videotape this yesterday, but by the time I had a chance, the sun was down, and not great lighting in my office when the sun is down. So, wait to redo this today. There we go. I should have shaped all these already. Super quick and easy. And last two. I may not need all of these. I just did a bunch of them. There we go. So now we're going to go ahead and start assembling. Pull this in here, and I'm going to go ahead and fold on my score lines. So this first one goes this direction. The next one goes this direction. Fold well. Then we need this one. Basically, you're going to accordion fold all of these. There we go. Oh, almost forgot these. All right. So those are all ready to go. And you see how that's going to hold together just like that. So we want to go ahead and adhere these, and I'm going to do that with some multi-purpose adhesive. Go ahead and put a little line on here, a little line on here. Now I could use tear and tape for this. However, a tear and tape is a little bit wider than this 1/4 of an inch. So, which it's not that hard to rub the excess over, but I'm going to go ahead and use the liquid. I'm going to lay that down. I'm going to lay this down, and then I have a bunch of these clamps. Make sure, why are we not straight here? There we go. Actually, give me my tiny ones. Just clamp that down for just a minute until they're dry. Actually, it doesn't even need to be a minute, really. It feels like it's already almost dry. Oh. Tear and tape would have definitely been faster. There we go. Let that go. And while that's set, I'm going to go ahead and put my first of my branches on. Now, one of them I cut out with the adhesive sheets behind it, because it's going to be completely flat, so it was fine to go ahead and do that. And this one's going to tuck underneath. The main thing I wanted was to make sure that this part didn't go off the page, or off the outside of this corner. It can if you want to, but for the design I didn't want it to. And then I'll tuck that underneath, maybe. There we go. And put that down. And you definitely want to burnish this really well to make sure that adhesive sticks to the background. Okay. And then this one here, we are going to use some fine tip glue pen. Now this fine tip glue pen, again, it's a fine tip, which is great, but it also does not remain sticky once it's dry. It is a very, it dries completely, whereas this one will remain sticky. So because we don't want it to be sticky, and we have a better, it's not gonna stick out. Okay, so this one here, I want to adhere down here and right in here, this area. This area you do not want to adhere. You want this to be able to move. So I'm going to put a little bit on here. And then I'll put some here. And this part up here, you don't have to have it super welled right now because the flowers are going to help hold it down as well. And just decide where you want it to connect to that other one, and then let's lay a block down on it. Okay, those are drying. They don't take very long to dry. Definitely want the lid back on there. This should be ready. Oh, while this finishes drying, actually, I'm gonna go ahead and color my bird. Now, one thing I wanted to show was when you're stamping with the photopolymer, you don't need to push really, really hard. Oftentimes when we do it, we push down really, really hard on it, and then you lose some of the detail. You can see on here on my bird, let me put this back into autofocus. Can you see how he's lost some of his details because it's just been all smushed? I pushed down too hard on my stamp when I stamped him. This guy's a little more, he's a bit more sharp, especially around the beak and the eye area compared to this one here. So you don't have to push really, really hard when you're stamping with these. You'll get a better impression if you don't. And I'm simply going to color him in with some watercolor pencils. And let's go with some gray. And I love the fact that birds can be absolutely any color you want them to be, because they come in such a wide range of colors. I'm going to give it some gray, and then I'm going to darken it a little bit with some black. I don't think I'm going to do his tail. And then I'm going to come in with a little bit of brown on the bottom of his belly. As you can see, I'm just scribbling because I'm going to blend that out in a minute. And then this is crushed curry. I'm going to put a little bit to blend into the brown and up. And then on my blender pen, let's see which end. Oh, that's my gray end. I'm going to blend out that gray and black. Same thing here. You see how it pulls that color down? And then on this end, I'm going to blend in his belly. And I'm wiping some of that color off of there so that I can continue blending, but it'll get lighter. There we go. Ta-da! And then I did cut this out with the die, but I prefer for this particular one not to have any outline, any white outline. So I'm going to fussy cut him out really quickly. It's not a difficult, doesn't take very long to do. He's a pretty simple image to cut out, unlike, you know, some of the highly detailed ones. Oh, I didn't put any color on his beak. There we go. Cut him out really quick. And then you'll notice that there's that space there, right there between his 2 feet, that are going to be white. And I am not going to cut that out. That's just way more work than I feel like doing. However, I don't want that little bit of white showing up. And because I know this is pool party here, I'm going to come in with the pool party marker, and I'm just going to color that in with the pool party. And now it's not going to show up as much again. See? Look, it completely disappears even. So you won't see that that's a white, you know, piece of that it hasn't been cut out in that area. So now let's take these off. And the fun part, let's make sure that's going to lift up okay. Ah, my glue didn't stick. That's okay. The flowers are going to help hold it down. I pulled it too hard when I lifted that up and pulled it right off. There we go. Ta-da! Okay, let's get our bird on. And to do that, he is the only thing that's going to go on a dimensional. Let me grab one of my little tiny dimensionals. And what I like to do with the birds is I put the dimensional up near the top of the body. I give him a little bit of shape. Can you see I've kind of curled him up a little bit? I'm going to pull that off, but then I'm going to put a little dot of glue, of adhesive, on his feet, because I want his feet to be attached to the branch. I don't want them floating around. So decide where exactly I want my bird to go. He's going to be on that branch there. And now his body has some shape and dimension, but his feet are attached to the branch. And now it's time for some flowers. So I have flowers and I have leaves. Oops, that's still wet, so I need to get that off of there. Just put it right through a puddle. I have some leaves here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just dot some on the leaves. I'm giving them a little fold in the middle like that, again just to give them some shape. I'm going to put a dot of glue on the back of a flower. This flower is going to help hold that stem down. Put a little bit on the back of my leaf, and this is where my tweezers are going to come in handy to get in there and get behind that. There we go. Move things around, and I'm just going to continue doing this. I'm going to add flowers. And one of the things I did do on some of them, I wanted the flowers, I didn't want all individual flowers. Oh no! You dropped in the wrong spot. Well, hopefully I can hide that with a leaf. Yep. Fold the leaf in half. I'm just pinching right at the tip there. And I don't even need any more glue because there's already glue right there. Because I dropped my flower. Now I want a flower to go behind this, but if I use a whole flower, it's going to be too bulky. So I'm actually going to take my scissor and cut one of the petals off. This is one of the wet flowers still, so it's harder to cut. Come on, come out of there. And that way, this will tuck behind there a little bit easier. And you really won't know a petal is missing because it's going to be behind there. Just like that. There we go. And then this partial petal, you can tuck behind another one, or you can even roll it and make it into a little bud, a little flower bud. Just like that. And let me see, I think I'll put a dot of glue there. And again, my hands are not very good. I like using my tweezers. Hold it. Okay, let's put another flower there. And what do you think? Let's see. Flowers down here on the ends. Debating if I'm going to cut one yet. I need a leaf. And you can make this as full or as sparse as you want them. Grab that leaf here. There we go. I think I want a flower behind my bird. coming out from behind it, so I think I'm going to trim off that petal. Tuck it back in here. On the last one I didn't, and it kind of, I don't know, I ended up putting one in front of the bird. There we go. Now the ones that you're going to put along this area here, you're going to want to be very, very careful with your adhesive. So I actually think on that one, I'm going to go back to using this adhesive because, again, I don't want it to be sticky. I don't want it, when this is dry, it remains sticky, and when this gets done, I don't want it to end up sticking back there and not popping up on me. So I'm going to put the glue right there. The only thing with this glue is you really have to make sure it's fully dry, and you kind of have to hold it. There, that should, as long as I don't touch that while it's drying, it should be good. Let's see. Where else do we want some more flowers? I'm gonna put one here. Put one there. And now I'm gonna do some half flowers. Oh, here I've got my little bud. Roll that up. And where should I put this? Let's tuck it underneath that flower there. Maybe? We have some more leaves. Whoa. Trying to decide where I want the leaves to go. I think I want one under that flower. And here I want a half one, or a partial one. And this part's going to be tricky. I really want a leaf in that area. See if I can figure out how to get it over there. I think if I come in from underneath here. Ah! There we go. There we go. Okay. And I think we need one here. So that means this glue. Ooh. That one I want to make sure I do not push down until the glue is totally dry so it doesn't stick to the background. I don't think I need any more of those. Let's see. The end here? Yeah. Like I said, I may not need all of my flowers that I have cut out. I am going to put one down in the corner. But first let's get a leaf, another leaf over here. And then we're going to put a flower down here. At least one. I might put a couple. Okay, so sorry about that. I don't know what happened. My camera just kind of shut off at the end there, but all you missed was me just finishing up this little flower and stuff down here. So no big deal. I hope you enjoyed this Fun Fold Friday, and if you are interested in the Coco and Crafts class that is coming up, you have until July 12th, 2023, which is just a few days away, to go check out my blog. It'll be linked in the description box, and you can see all the details of what is included in the kit and how to order it and all of that stuff there. So yeah, be sure to check that out. And until next time, God's love and blessings to you. Bye.